Hello, my name is Bob Matthews, and welcome to our first episode of High Innovation TV. Innovate or terminate. What do I mean by that? Well, if you're working in corporate America today, chances are you're a solid performer, you're reliable, you're dependable, you do consistent work. And I'm here to tell you your job may be in danger. Join me today and we'll talk about why. Now, I left corporate America just a few years ago. Before that, I worked in that environment for nearly 30 years. I worked for some smaller private firms, and for the last 17 years, I was advanced engineering manager mostly for a large Fortune 500 company. We're an automotive supplier. So you can imagine during those many years, especially during the last decade or so, I've been through many rounds of layoffs, or as we used to call them, downsizings, right? And I've been laid off. I've had to lay many people off. And it was those experiences that kind of led me to formulate my own metaphor, which describes the whole absurdity of that kind of strategy to me. Okay, so our CEO is coming into work in the morning, and as he's crossing the parking lot, he notices there's some litter on the lawn. And so, being the good, conscientious CEO that he is, he walks over to pick up the litter, and he notices, as he's picking it up, there's a big sinkhole in the lawn starting to form. There's some kind of underground water flow, which is carrying the soil away. And so he figures, I better fix that. So he goes inside, he grabs all his employees, and drags them out, gives them shovels, says, start filling it up. So these guys are shoveling away like crazy, but of course the water flow keeps working and carrying the soil off. And so these guys can't keep up. So he's watching, and the hole's getting bigger and bigger, and these guys are shoveling as fast as they can. And so he gets an idea. And he takes about a dozen of these guys, and he throws them in the hole. And he looks at it, and it works. It works. Because now he's ahead of this thing. I mean, he's got all these bodies that he threw in the hole. It filled up much faster, and so he's ahead of this thing for a while. And yeah, of course, he's got less people shoveling now, but these were the guys that were weren't really pulling their weight anyway. So as time goes on, of course, the hole gets bigger and bigger, and so it's time for another round of this, and he comes out and grabs a bunch of guys and throws them in the hole. But this time, these guys are better shovelers, because he's already gotten rid of the ones, the dead wood, last time. So eventually, after a few rounds of this, he starts to look around and notice that the only ones he's got left around the perimeter of this hole shoveling away are the good shovelers. And so that's why I'm saying, if you're one of the good, dependable, true blue, really solid employees, your job may be in danger. Because a lot of the companies right now in this economy are down to those people, so that the whole staff is made up of competent people. So when it comes time to do the next round, all they got is competent people to lay off. Okay? So, you're shoveling furiously around this hole. You look around, everyone else is too. Now, you're a good shoveler, but somehow you just don't feel safe, because you know it's possible when the next round comes that you might get chosen. So you've got to do something to stand out, something to differentiate yourself, something to distinguish yourself. So let's say, for instance, you decide the next day you bring in a little bit bigger shovel. It's a little harder to work, but you also devise a way that's more efficient. So maybe you don't lift that shovel as high. And so you're able to move about 10% more dirt than everyone else. Right? So this creative idea has now distinguished you. Right? And the CEO is going to notice that. And of course, what's going to happen after a couple of days, he's going to go out and buy everyone else bigger shovels. Or they're going to buy themselves bigger shovels. So you're going to be back on a par with everyone else, but at least the CEO is going to remember you were the one who came up with the idea. For a while. Not real long, because the rule, the what have you done for me lately rule is going to come into play very quickly. And so you've got to keep innovating to keep distinguished. So, for instance, maybe you will come up with another idea where instead of lifting the dirt, you just push it into the hole and come up with a big, kind of like a bulldozer pusher blade. But you can't push it yourself, so you grab a couple of friends, and three of you can now do the work of five people, maybe, let's say. So now you've come up with another innovative idea. Of course, it's going to be adopted across the company, and everyone's going to end up pushing these things, and you're going to be on par with everyone else again. And so, but at least you're starting to establish yourself as an innovative person and one of the people that's maybe going to be the last to give away or to be laid off. Ultimately, you actually want to be that person who goes right to the source of the problem and figures out how to divert that water flow so that that hole isn't even eroding anymore and alleviate the need for all this filling of the hole. That's who you really want to be. So you want to find that innovative solution. Okay, so there's a couple of points that I want to make by telling you this metaphor. One is that you may be a very competent person. You may excel at work, but many of the companies right now are down to those people that only excel. You've gotten rid of everyone else that was an inferior performer. So somehow you have to distinguish yourself or differentiate yourself. The second thing is you may be a competent person, but the company can make you incompetent overnight. Now, we've all seen this. I've seen this. You've seen it happen too. For instance, you're sitting at work, and let's say you are manager of the IT help desk. So people call you with the computer problems. And so you wander around fixing computers and fixing CAD stations, etc. Well, one day they lay off a sales manager, let's say a salesman, gets laid off. And of course there's a hiring freeze, so they can't hire someone, so they're going to have to put someone else in that position. So they look around and they're surrounded by engineers. They say, well, we can't put an engineer in front of the customer. Who knows what they'll say? These are all technical people. And they look around and they spot you. And they figure, well, you interface with people all day, you talk to people. And I remember a year ago when you had to present your budget, you gave a presentation. So maybe you've got the skills. So you become sales manager overnight. Now you went from being a technical person on the IT help desk to sales manager the next day. Are you going to be competent at the job? I don't think so. Right? So you're going to have to be innovative, you're going to have to be creative, you're going to have to adjust. In my opinion, the most important quality a person can have in today's bad economy in corporate America is flexibility, the ability to be flexible, the ability to adapt, which is a creative or innovative quality. In effect, you're recreating yourself, a portion of yourself to be able to do that job. You're also recreating that job so that you can do it. Okay, so for instance, a salesperson might go in and sell a product because they know all the benefits and features, and they have their standard presentations that they give. Not being a salesman, you may come in with your experience on the IT help desk where you're used to solving problems, and you may approach it differently and do just as well or even better than the salesperson did that had that job previously, because you're going to come in and you're going to solve problems for the customer, which is essentially what your company is there for. You have to add value for that customer. In summary, I'd like to say in today's economy, in today's corporate environment, it's absolutely vital to differentiate yourself, to distinguish yourself as an innovative associate or employee. Everyone's going to be competent now, and you have to be better than that. Also, it's important to become flexible and adaptable, because who knows what the company is going to ask you to do next. So it's vitally important to develop innovation and creativity skills, and you have to actively do this. A lot of people think creativity, innovation, that's either you're born with it or you aren't, and that's not true. You just have to make a decision to be innovative, to be creative, and then seek out the resources to help you do that. So until next time, this is Bob Matthews. Remember, keep productive, not just busy.